Check 1, 2. And we're live. We're live. Kick it.
Look at you in denim and bows. I know the mode is lethal. Say you wanna show me a place. The place is here, the here is inside you. Critical mass, your body has the body power. Lying at the foot of the Linden in the navel ring, inventing you. Where did you come from?
I'm digging it.
What I want is to walk beside you.
Not bad.
Holy water, fire in the sky, let me dive through your face to the sweetest kind of
I like it.
Call you up, nothing to say, no, don't need no.
It's a great voice. Caroline Polachek. I'm digging the band. I really am. It's good music, man. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome, man. Welcome. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program. Hey, how you doing? My name is Marcus Conti. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is January 16th in the year 2023, and we're going to figure out, are liberals always right? It seems that Trump derangement syndrome has another psychological part of it, a caveat, that says, I am right and you are wrong. And if you look at these pictures, you look at Kyle Kolinski, you look at John Adirola from TYT, and you look at Chuck Scarborough, right? They assume that they're right and you're wrong. And they stand on a lot of things. They stand on their work experience. They stand on their the schools they went to. I went to Harvard, therefore I'm smarter than you. Or I'm a lawyer and you're not, therefore I know more about the law than you do. Or in the worst scenario, a doctor. I went to medical school for 25 years and I know more about your body than you do. It has to do with Trump derangement syndrome, but those are the people that fall victim to this idea that Trump is the orange monster, and Trump is somehow stupid and incapable of, doing the right thing for the people, when more than half the people in the country say that he is the guy to do it. So we're gonna explore this. I'm very fascinated by Trump derangement syndrome. I've been, since 2016, as we all have been, following it directly or indirectly. It is a fascinating phenomena of Trump that everything surrounding him has been criminalized and vilified. When it seems that, from my perspective from the middle, is that all politicians are corrupt and incredibly honest in many ways, right? They are interesting animals. But why is Trump any different than Hillary Clinton? Why is Trump any different than Bernie Sanders? What is the reason behind that? What horrific event, horrific deed has Trump done to this country and to you personally that makes you hate him so much? I find that absolutely fascinating because there's no precedence. I mean, Bush was hated, but Bush bombed Iraq, right? When everybody told him not to. And everybody hated Bush. But why do people hate Trump? Trump didn't bomb anybody. Trump didn't. I mean, literally, we're talking about presidential records that were left in a box, a couple of boxes in his Mar-a-Lago mansion under Secret Service protection. And people want to say, you see what he did? But again, I hate to point it out, but it's the obvious thing to point out, Kyle and John and Joe, is that Hillary Clinton and that team did way, way more than that, and you knew it, right? Especially Kyle Kolinski, who was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and John Adirola, who wasn't so much a Bernie guy. But you knew that the Democratic Party is deeply corrupted. You saw how they hatcheted Bernie Sanders, right? And now you're sitting still for a criminal mobilization of our law enforcement, bringing criminal charges to a former president, right, based on things that are mundane in their circles of politics. Taking and handling and mixing around and talking about documents like that are part of being the president. On the other hand, Hillary Clinton and Obama and John Podesta and the rest of them were communicating via email, right? Communicating high, they're not supposed to be passing around these high levels of this high level of information to each other while they're out in the brush. They're supposed to do that in secret on secure servers. The level of mishandling of classified information in real time, right? The level that the Clintons and Obama and John Podesta and Robbie Mook and CNN and MSNBC were passing around, these intimate conversations between the Secretary of State and the President that were being intercepted wherever they went. If Hillary Clinton landed in fucking Ukraine and started to use her BlackBerry to communicate with Obama, the whole fucking world, any spy that knows encryption can see what they're saying. Now, if you want to compare that to a bunch of boxes in Trump's basement, that is part of, what he's legally and ethically and morally entitled to see and has already seen many times, you're out of your mind, right? And to sit and watch the United States government prosecute this guy and sit on your hands and say, "Oh, I got fucking Trump. I don't know how the hell he's and giggle it off like it's no big deal, right? Because they're going after him and then they'll come after you. That's how that works. When they're going after my enemy, then they're my friend. But when they come after me, now they're a villain, right? You're playing the problem with liberal. The problem with overeducated know-it-allism is that you don't see it until it's coming at you or whatever. But that's the subject I want to talk about, and definitely want to talk about that. Mikhail Sly in the chat. What's up, Mikhail? Says Mikhail Sly reporting he got sentenced to 30 months in prison for his role in January 6th and has to turn himself in 45 days. Mikhail, oh my God, you kidding me? Is this a joke? Are you trolling me? Because if you are, you got me. Because I like Mikhail. Mikhail's here every day. We love Mikhail here. But again, I understand if what you're saying, and if you don't want to come on the show and let's talk about it. You'd be a great guest. And if you want to do it in shadow, if you want to do it in voice only, that's fine too. Hit me up via email if you want to do that. shorthappylife@gmail.com, and we can talk about it. And you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. That's really a crazy thing to happen. That insane. But anyway, my name is Mark Sconti. And the markets, what's the markets doing? Markets look like they're going up. They're going up. They're going up. They're going up. Yesterday was a rather, the futures are up right now. NASDAQ futures are up 60. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 46 futures. S&P 500 up 12. And it was a big day. It's been a big week. Big week on Wall Street. Wall Street, look at that chart of the, that's the NASDAQ right there going straight the fuck up. Relentlessly going up, like galloping up. So we'll look at that story too. So I'm gonna let the liberals talk today. I'm gonna play their videos for the most part. So Marcus Conte, educational philosophical live stream, trying to get in the middle of the discussion. It's often hard to not have an opinion. I may say, I don't really have an opinion, and I'm straight in the middle. But there are people that will watch and say, this guy's a fucking so far to the right, he can't even see his own fucking nose in front of his face. He might say that. But anyway, I do try to get into the middle, and when I'm wrong, I promptly admit it, or try to. When I'm wrong, I may not admit it, but I move to the middle. You know, I want to understand both sides. That's really what I want to understand. I know what it feels like to be a leftist, a Bernie supporter, a guy who, in that camp that wants to see his candidate win. I know how that feels, and I also know how it feels to be. Supporting a guy like Trump or being opposed to Biden in a sense, right? So I have twangs of opinion. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, it's Friday, man. It's Friday. That's what's going on. So I got a website, Marcus Conte, educational philosophical live stream. We're live every morning at 9 a.m. right here on YouTube. And you don't have to get notification or anything silly like that. You just show up at 9 a.m. and you can watch, or you can watch the reruns right here on YouTube or Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Facebook, Twitter, Getter, Truth Social, or wherever else you consume your social media. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Josephine in the house, Gloria B., Chuck Webb, Weevil Girl in the house, Jonte Takray, how you doing? Sean Can, how are you? JJ Wolf, what's up? Cats Philly Camden, Mikhail Sly, my brother, is here. Again, if you don't want me to share, I'm just sharing what you're sharing on the thread. Mikhail says, I've been sentenced, though, so now I can talk a little about it. If you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Talk about it on the show. Come on, and no better place to talk about it than make a video about it. Video about you talking about it. Come on, man. Think about the ratings, Mikhail, before you go off to jail. We're not going to see you, Mikhail. I'm laughing. I'm trying to make humor of something tragic. It's tragic. You show up for a rally and you get bamboozled into whatever, and suddenly you're getting carted off to jail. It's fucking crazy. It's a crazy time we live in, really. Political rallies turn into prison sentences. What does that say? Stay away from. That's the messaging. Stay away from political rallies. So let's start here with Kyle Kolinski, the newly blonded, newly married to crystal ball guy. Let's try to understand. He's shocked by Trump. He can't believe how fucking galvanized Trump is with the tried and true. He can't believe any of it. But he also doesn't understand how people, he sees Trump as a criminal who, of course he is. Of course Trump should be going to jail. Right? That's his tone. And this is a wildly popular left-leaning commentator who was part of Justice Democrats who got AOC elected in 2016. He's got a real voice, and I like him. He's been on Joe Rogan many times, and we'll just listen. We got to pick the guys who are the leaders of this type of thinking, and Kyle is definitely one of them. So let's listen.
I like to think of myself as a fair dude. I like to think that I'll admit fault when I was wrong about something. Well, guess what?
Okay.
This may be one of those moments right now.
It's not only this moment, Kyle, but we're going to point out a few more for you for the record.
It may be one of those moments. So there's a new poll that just came out, CBS YouGov poll. And boy, oh boy, is it something. So let's start here. I'm going to ease you into these numbers.
Please.
Okay? According to this new CBS YouGov poll, they asked likely Republican primary voters.
Okay.
So this is the red meat, red base, okay? If not Trump, do you want the nominee to be like Trump or not like Trump? So they say if we can't have Trump, 74% say they want somebody similar to Trump. Only 26% say different from Trump.
Okay.
Now, there's a couple different ways of reading this, right?
Let's read it, Kyle. Get to the point.
One argument could be, no, they're just saying they want somebody policy-wise who is like Trump. Well, if that's what they're saying, well, then guess what? Mission accomplished. Because every other Republican is more or less like Trump. They all vote in a very similar way.
Okay, so all the Republicans are like Trump. And why is it shocking that 74% of the population of Trump supporters like him or want someone like him? Why is that even shocking? Why is that even discussional?
But the other reading of this, which is perhaps a little more unnerving, is that they want somebody similar to Trump in all the intangible X-factor ways, in all of the vibes-based ways.
The vibes-based ways. That's it. You see, it's a vibe. A vibe. They want to be part of something. They're evil. They want to come together and swing flags and be patriotic and love their country and get others to love their country too. How fucking sinful can they be? See, that's the liberal mind. It's like, look at them. Don't they see the vibe around Trump that is vile? All right. That's what it is. All right. Continue.
And I have to admit to you guys,
Please.
I think that's what they mean.
Yes.
And maybe this is why you see virtually every Republican candidate, save like Chris Christie, is trying their best, even if they disagree with Trump, even if they go after him a little bit, ultimately they still end up cucking themselves. They're like, oh, it's a witch hunt. They're going after him wrongly. His 37 crimes actually aren't crimes.
You're joking about that? 37 crimes that aren't crimes? Kyle Kolinski's a smart guy. He, got a degree in political science. Kyle, don't you know anything about how people are the guy's being prosecuted for garbage, right? From out of nowhere. If that isn't the biggest story in American politics right now, Trump the Democrats prosecuting their political enemy? Are you fucking kidding me? That is huge. No, he's not talking about it. He's talking about Trump's vibe. Instead, he's talking about the vibe. You don't give a shit about the politics or the ramification of arresting the lead Republican candidate prior to an election over things that are incredibly circumstantial and would never going to amount to criminal prosecution unless it's totally rigged and
This is why they're doing that. 74%. If we can't have Trump, give me somebody just like Trump.
Okay, so that confirms people like Trump. You know why? Because, Kyle, they don't see what you see. They're not seeing Trump in the same light. You see Trump as a bad person. They see Trump as someone defending himself against very bad people. Do you understand that? It's not that they're bad or you think. See, Kyle Kolinski thinks he's smarter than those people because I went to a degree. I went to a college and I have a television program and I've been on Joe Rogan, so therefore I'm very smart. But again, he's leaving himself. He's making us see that it's more about a vibe and not the actual evidence, right, surrounding the reason why Trump is being dragged into court and dragged into possible jail. Right? The prosecution of a political enemy. He doesn't see it.
We're just getting warmed up here. Here is something to give you a little bit of hope. National security risk Is it a national security risk if Trump kept nuclear and military documents?
Nuclear and military documents. The guy, Kyle, motherfucker, the guy is the president of the United States. That's what he does all day long. He fucking juggles nuclear and military documents. What difference does it make if he accidentally took one or deliberately took a couple of boxes and put them in his fucking trunk and locked them in his house? It doesn't matter because all the presidents have done that. Everybody does that. It's part of the Presidential Records Act. It's not criminal. These are fucking technical glitches. What you're really saying is you really believe that Trump is fucking so careless and so reckless and so he's a spy. He's going to not only. It's not a matter of will those documents get intercepted by somebody else because Trump's an idiot and he doesn't know how to, hide his own boxes. But you're saying that he's willing to sell that information to foreign entities to hurt the United States of America. That's what he's being tried for. Espionage, right? A spy. Right? Kyle Kolinski has no problem. Liberal left, Trump derangement syndrome. If this was happening to Biden, if this was happening to Bernie, if this was happening to anybody, they would be shocked. Right? But not Trump. Trump's a separate animal because he has a vibe. There's a vibe about Trump. I don't know what it is.
80% of the country said absolutely it is. Because 80% of the country is reasonable. 80%
of the country is reasonable because first of all, the way you're framing the questions are framed by CBS. National security risk if Trump kept nuclear military documents. Kyle, Kyle knows the fact. I'm not going to say that Kyle is ignorant of the facts of how much information, how much information the Clintons retained and Biden retained and such. Let's look.
Only 38% of likely Republican primary voters said Trump having those top secret, classified nuclear documents is a problem, is a risk. Only 38%.
So, Kyle, you believe it then? You believe that Trump having these documents is a risk? What type of risk? Can you elaborate on the risk, the vibe around that risk? Because a man is being prosecuted and potentially thrown in jail for 400 years over your vibe. A vibe. I've got a vibe about Trump. What is it?
That's wild, man.
I know.
That is wild.
You are wild. You're a wild man.
You got, 62%? They were like, yeah, even if he had them, even if they're nuclear, even if they're in the bathroom, even if they're in the ballroom, I don't care. Even if Mar-a-Lago is a hotbed of spies, which it is.
Mar-a-Lago is a hotbed of spies? Mar-a-Lago is a hotbed of spies, says the Trump derangement syndrome commentator who's supposed to be neutral.
Don't care. Trump's my guy. I like him. Wow. 62%. How are you going to overcome that in a primary? How are you going to overcome that? I mean, they're all about the vibes, right? They are all about the vibes. And they are vibing out.
Vibing.
On Donald Trump. All right. But I saved the best one for last. Look at this, man. If convicted over classified documents, Trump should, only 20% say not be able to be president. 80% say Trump should still be able to be president. Let me repeat that.
Please do.
If convicted, so if found guilty.
Guilty again in a kangaroo court, Kyle. He's not seeing the big picture. He's not seeing a political prosecution. He can't see it because he's stuck in it and he has a vested interest in staying on the left. If Kyle Kolinski came out in support of Trump or spoke in the way that I'm speaking, his career would be over in the eyes of the adorable left. They would kick him out, but he wouldn't do that because he doesn't believe it. In his heart, he has this derangement syndrome. Right? First of all, the people that would vote for Trump in light of a conviction are are people who see the system as broken, as the conviction itself is flawed. The system that is prosecuting a very popular candidate is flawed. That's what Kyle is not seeing.
If potentially his ass is behind bars, 80%, he should still be able to be president. Crystal, my dear wife.
So that's Kyle Kolinski. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for your input. Let's go. Let's jump to John.
That Donald Trump might have screwed himself over when it comes to this classified documents scandal in more ways than one. I mean,
this is John Adirola, TYT.
The first one is pretty obvious. Don't steal documents.
Who stole documents?
Crazy man.
Crazy man. Don't steal documents, you crazy man.
Pretty obvious. Don't steal documents, you crazy man.
What documents did Trump steal, and what makes him crazy for retaining souvenirs? What is crazy? It's a view. It's a vibe of a deranged vibe.
And when they ask for you to give them back, just give them back. But beyond that, he might have screwed himself over in other ways too. See, he had someone who tried to help him out, a lawyer, Christopher Keese, who I believe he paid in advance. Smart of Christopher Keese to ask for that. It implies that he's probably one of the smarter lawyers on Trump's team.
So he's making this stupid case about Trump rejects lawyers' advice to avert indictment. I don't want to read that.
Don't give in. And a couple months later, you have the special counsel, and fast forward to today, he's facing these charges, and it's a pretty significant thing.
It's significant. He's facing a bunch of bullshit charges.
Now, interviews with 7 different Trump advisors say that he misled his advisors as well, telling them that the boxes that remained after he'd given some back to the National Archives.
Again, so you're getting into the nuts and bolts of Trump's private dealings with lawyers who Trump doesn't even fucking care
warned of
about.
peril and flew down to Florida to beg him to return them.
I don't know what I'm trying to make out of this guy, but say something smart so I can continue.
Eventually, he returned 15 boxes early last year. He still had 64 more to go, but he told his advisors, no, I gave them all back. Put out a statement. I already complied. Just dooming them to potential legal trouble, dooming his lawyers too, who he also lied to. By the way,
this kid's a lawyer too. He's got a law degree.
Wait, John,
I believe.
Kelly, who spent quite a bit of time working, in the close vicinity of Donald Trump, says he's incapable of admitting wrongdoing. He wanted to keep it, and he says, "You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm the smartest guy in the room." Which seems insane. It seems impossible. But Donald Trump chooses who's in the room with him, so there is still a possibility that he's the smartest guy there. But anyway, it gets even worse. But there were people on the inside that were trying to get him to avoid this whole thing. Just focus on the re-election bid, but he didn't want to do it. He wanted the documents more. Farron, what do you think?
Absolutely untrue. Absolutely ridiculous. He wanted the documents more. Oh, how stupid you are.
Think of this.
I think it's the weirdest development so far that we have seen in this already very weird.
These guys, they got their heads up their asses, right? How about let's listen to Joe Scarborough. I
mean, Chuck, there are a lot of times the prosecutors have to really stretch to prove their cases. A lot of circumstantial evidence. Sometimes it's not quite as strong as they like. But you look at that Georgia case, they've got the tape recordings. You look at the Mar-a-Lago case, they've got incredible physical evidence. They've got him saying things again on audio tape that close him in. They've got him saying things in speeches and on Sean Hannity's show.
So so Chuck Scarborough, the Trump derangement syndrome commentator from MSNBC, is saying what Trump says at rallies, at events, is also very, very dangerous to the public.
We're not sure how real a few weeks down the road.
I mean, Chuck, there are a lot of times
listen one more time.
Prosecutors have to really stretch to prove their cases. A lot of
this isn't a stretch, Joe. This is the fucking stretch of the century.
Circumstantial evidence. Sometimes it's not quite as strong as they like. But you look at that Georgia case, they've got the tape recordings.
The Georgia case, tape recording, where Trump says, "Find me 40,000 votes. They're somewhere." It's fucking. That's not criminal, man. It's so stupid. Is that and that's espionage? He should be charged with espionage. There, throw him in jail for that. For a comment during a heated election. Find me the fucking votes.
You look at the Mar-a-Lago case. They've got incredible physical evidence.
Incredible physical evidence. What about when Hillary Clinton? They had the emails and and all the fucking through WikiLeaks, and then they smashed all the servers, destroying the actual evidence, turning over servers that were empty and blank. Come on, man. Come on, Joe. Get your head out your ass.
Got him saying things again on audio tape that close him in. They've got him saying things in speeches and on Sean Hannity's show.
Saying things in speeches and in Sean Hannity that prove that Trump is bad.
They're admissions of guilt.
Admissions of guilt. Trump is admitting his guilt. I see guilt in what he's saying. You see, he said it. I see guilt.
Again, the picture, so much hard evidence there, really problematic for this guy.
Well, I think that's right. And, when you look at the Mar-a-Lago case, you actually have a lot to look at. We have an indictment. And when you write an indictment, and I've written many of them as a federal prosecutor, Joe, you make sure that you can prove every word, every sentence, every paragraph, assuming that's what the prosecutors did here. And I assume they did because they're really good at their jobs.
Oh, they're so good at their job. Here's one former attorney sucking off the other attorney.
That's going to be a very tough case for Mr. Trump. And, as you point out, there are a bunch of different trains on a bunch of parallel tracks in New York and Georgia and perhaps elsewhere. So
we're going to just keep coming at him, and we don't care if it's legitimate or not. We're just going to get him, man.
I would also like to underscore something else you said. These federal prosecutors, Jack Smith and his team, are an enormously talented and experienced group of prosecutors. First, they're not going to be intimidated by Mr. Trump or anyone else. Second, they are not trying their case in the public sphere. It's going to be in a courtroom, in a federal court in Florida. And third, they're really good at what they do.
They're really good at what they do. What do they do? They go after political opponents? That's what they're good at?
I won a lot of cases as a prosecutor, and I was remarkably mediocre. And what...
All right, so that's that jerk off. How about Bolton? You remember John Bolton, the guy who almost started the fucking war in Venezuela, right? You remember he deemed Nicolas Maduro a terrorist and convinced Trump of it, and they were ready to invade Venezuela. They kicked Maduro out and appointed Juan Guaido, right? This is the jerk off that did it. This was John Bolton, the fucking U.S. Embassy, whatever. He was leading the charge against Venezuela to steal the oil, and Trump was with him. They were teammates, and then now John Bolton is saying this.
Could email a copy of the indictment to every registered Republican in the country in front of the president.
For president or to be a candidate for president anymore. I don't really want...
Hold on a second. I don't know where exactly.
And Ambassador Bolton, look, you are neither secretive nor subtle about your desire to see the former president out of the race for president or to be a candidate for president anymore. I don't really want to ask about the politics, because I want to ask you about what these documents actually mean. There's a lot of classification markings. There's a lot of words and descriptions that people might not understand. Tell people from a national security perspective what's in the documents laid out in this indictment.
Roofers are furious about this.
And now we get a commercial. Hold on a second.
Neither I nor anybody else not involved in the case knows what's in the documents yet.
So right there, the public, John Bolton tells you that nobody knows what's in the documents except the lawyers. Nobody knows. What exactly did Trump expose? I don't know, nuclear, fucking something, right? But nobody knows, and John Bolton doesn't even know.
But I do know what kinds of documents were put in front of the president during my time, I'm sure during the entire 4 years of his term. And they did go to absolute, the most important.
Wait a second, John. You've seen the highly classified documents that only the president is only privy to see? Really, John? Wow, you just said that publicly. Maybe we should arrest you for having the inside track on what's in those documents, because you're on fucking television talking about it. So you're a potential danger to national security talking about it, right? You can go in that direction, right? Which is insane. But that's precisely what the left is doing to Trump.
Important secrets that the United States has, directly affecting national security, directly affecting the lives and safety of our service members and our civilian population. If he has anything like what the indictment alleges, and of course the government will have to prove it, then he has committed very serious crimes.
Very serious crimes. Very serious crimes, says John Bolton, former advisor, former right of Trump, and Trump didn't like his work performance, probably said, why are we going into Venezuela? It's a mistake. Cut it out. and fired him, right? So John Bolton, there they are. That's what I said about Trump. Trump has no support in the deep state. Does John Bolton qualify as deep state? You bet your ass he does. John Bolton takes money from fucking anybody who will give it to him. He has government connection. He has influence. He's an influential deep state guy. He's able to get himself on television because he's talented. He used to be a radio commentator. But now he's throwing Trump under the bus. Now you got to ask yourself, does John Bolton have Trump derangement syndrome, or is John Bolton just a guy who's like, fuck Trump, man. If Trump gets back in as president, I'm screwed, right? I got no power anymore if Trump's back. All my power lies in colluding with the very, very corrupt deep state and the money.
This is a devastating indictment. I speak here as an alumnus of the Justice Department myself, because not only
devastating indictment, devastating.
Is it powerful? It's very narrowly tailored. They didn't throw everything up against the wall to see what would stick. This really is a rifle shot, and I think it should be the end of Donald Trump's political career.
All right, but it didn't end anybody else's career prior to that. Let's listen to Jesse Waters.
Didn't just give us architecture, agriculture, even democracy. They also taught us how to destroy our political opponents. And historian Alex Petkus laid it out, how Democrats are using the same playbook today. You start with bribery, but you don't just pay off the jury. That's too messy. You do what Cicero's enemies did to take him out. You bribe the witnesses to discredit the defendant. False testimony can be costly, but expert opinion helps destroy reputations. Kind of sounds like having 51 spooks sign off on a letter saying Hunter's laptop was fake. Mm-hmm. How much did that support cost? And speaking of bribery, there's paying off your voters. The Romans used the Colosseum to put on gladiator shows and give out free bread.
So Jesse Waters is making a historical reference to prosecuting your political enemies. Right? He's saying that this is not uncommon historically, and you can point to the Romans and other times in history where this is happening, or happened, and it's clearly happening again. But half the country has a vested interest in not acknowledging it, or a deep, deep, deep medical problem called Trump derangement syndrome, medical symptoms.
To distract people from their miserable lives. Take this tiny handout while we make your empire unlivable. Kind of like what Joe's doing with $500 billion in student loan bailouts. And how about this lesson from the Greeks? The best way to discredit your rival is to accuse them of colluding with a foreign power. Mm-hmm. Where have I heard that before?
Where have you heard that one? You hear it every day, right? Trump colluding with a foreign power. Russia, Russia, Russia.
The president is a Russian operative.
This cloud about collusion with Russia will hang over him no matter where he stands.
It does look like he's listening to Putin more than he is American intelligence.
We're about to find out if the new president of our country is going to do what Russia wants. The presidency is effectively a Russian op.
The presidency is effectively a Russian op. That's the statement of the century. Right? That's Rachel Maddow saying that on TV to a million broken people with Trump derangement syndrome, and this is how it spreads. She has it, and it's contagious, and she goes out in front of the cameras and talks about it, and she gives it to a million people.
And if none of that works, the Democrats can do as the Romans did and just arrest their opponent, like Emilius Scaurus did the Rutilius Rufus. You can use bogus charges and don't even need proof of a crime. It's just about muddying up their name. Biden's Justice Department targeting Trump's nothing new. They were doing it way back in the Roman times.
Correct.
I thought Democrats hated history. Certainly looks like they've picked up a few dirty tricks from the classics. Douglas Murray's a Fox News contributor.
Excellent commentary. Thank you.
And he went to Oxford University. So, I mean, we should have been able to see through all of these vicious attacks if we had just opened up the history books.
That's absolutely right. A lot of what we're seeing tomorrow is classic Playbook. Not only the Greeks and the Romans, but the Tudors and Medicis, always the same. The interesting thing that's been happening recently in America is something which is very reminiscent from history. How to get rid of a popular leader without making yourself unpopular. Very, very classic problem that people faced throughout history. And one of the other things we're seeing at the moment, of course, is that it's not enough to defeat your political opponent. You've got to kill them.
He said, kill your political opponent.
Greeks took that
literally.
Very literally. Maybe it's not so little at the moment, but it's not far off, is it?
No.
We're no longer talking about simply defeating a political opponent in the polls.
Yes.
We're talking about also making sure they die and rot in prison.
That's exactly what we're talking about. You don't want to beat the opponent. You want to see him die and rot in prison. That's where we are right now. That's where we are right now in American politics. I'll leave it right there because that's really the gist of it. So. Well, it's kind of the reporting. Looks like the markets are taking a little red, a little sell-off. At least the NASDAQ is selling off a little bit. NASDAQ is down 22 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 27, and the S&P 500 looks like it's flat. Looks like it's all going to go red in a few minutes. Maybe not for long, but certainly a little correction on the horizon right now. From big days. A big mover, if you haven't heard, Virgin Galactic Holdings, maybe there's a short squeeze. Maybe it's the Reddit crowd driving it up again. But SPCE, Virgin Galactic Holdings, $5.27 a share right now, up $1.20, 30% move this morning. Who couldn't use 30% in one day? So Rivian moving along, 1550. My brother Rivian, I told you I got it at 14. I'm at 1559. Go Rivian. I love Rivian. Apple is down 82 cents. Amazon down $1. Google down 59 cents. Meta up 50 cents. Microsoft down $1.50. NVIDIA up $3.54 more. So Tesla up $3.53. Nice moves. The big one right here is why is fucking Spice Spice Girls. Why is Spot? What happened here? Why is Virgin Galactic? Why did it jump from $4 to $5.26? A 30% jump. Virgin Galactic rockets 40% on space flight plans. They're going back to space. They're going another takeoff, another big story. Well, that's where we are. That's the 6-month chart. Here's the 1-year chart. Here's the total chart. The stock was at one time $55 a share. The high looks like 55, 54, 55. And it's currently $5 a share. Will it ever get back up into the stratosphere? Back up into the 50s? Because if you buy it here, obviously you buy 1,000 here, you got 50 grand, and you got a lot more than that. You got You got a lot. If this thing goes back to 50, you can take 1,000 here at 50. You're making a lot of money. You're making a lot of money. You're making a big coin. So watch it. You might want to pick up a little. It could go down more too. So small positions in these stocks. So anyway, Mark Sconti reporting on Trump derangement syndrome. I think it's a real subject. I think it's it doesn't. I think there's half the country that is so galvanized against a single person and a type of person. You know, we need to mention that he's an older white male businessman, and there's people that just hate that. They want to see a fucking Indian woman or a Muslim fucking tranny or some, you know, some black fucking I don't know what. Right? They just see the color and they see the ethnicity, but so that's at play too. Part of Trump derangement syndrome is a lot of women who are battered in their lives seem to dislike Trump. They can't get around the fact that he's alpha male. They just don't like that. Lesbians fucking hate Trump. Lesbians hate Trump. So anyway, thank you for joining me. And it's Mark Sconti. Let's listen to the rest of the song. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. Really, have a good weekend. It's raining right here, 64 degrees in northeast Pennsylvania. Clouds. Don't let the rain stop you. All right? I'll leave you with that. Don't let the rain keep you in. The sun is still out. It's out. You just can't see it. Right now, the sun is actively behind the clouds, the rain clouds, and it's putting its heat into the water in the clouds. So when the rain comes down, it's spreading. The rain, the sun is inside of the rain. When the rain hits you, imagine the sun being there already, right? And it's so go out there. Don't be shy of the sun. Is what I'm trying to say. The sun is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. The rain is beautiful.